Doutor, você está se desintegrando, Einstein. Calma, Marty. Eu não desintegrei nada. A estrutura molecular de Einstein e do carro está completamente intacta.
When most people think about Back to the Future, one image instantly comes to mind. The stainless steel DeLorean racing down the road before disappearing in a flash of light, leaving burning tire tracks behind. The car became one of the most recognizable vehicles in movie history, and for many fans, it's impossible to imagine the franchise without it. But one of the biggest behind-the-scenes secrets is that the legendary DeLorean almost never existed. During the earliest stages of development, the filmmakers had a completely different vision for the time machine. Instead of a sleek sports car, the script called for a stationary device that looked more like something from an old science fiction laboratory. One version even placed the time machine inside a household refrigerator. Characters would climb inside, activate the machine, and travel through time without ever leaving the spot. Although the concept fit classic science fiction storytelling, it created a huge problem. A refrigerator couldn't move, and that meant the film would lose the fast-paced excitement that the creators wanted. Director Robert Zemeckis and writer Bob Gale soon realized that time travel would become far more thrilling if the machine itself could race through streets, escape danger, and create unforgettable action scenes. That simple realization changed movie history forever. The search for the perfect vehicle eventually led them to the DeLorean DMC-12. Even though the car had already been discontinued, its futuristic stainless steel body and distinctive gull-wing doors made it look like it belonged decades ahead of its time. It didn't need much convincing for audiences to believe it could travel through history. More importantly, transforming the time machine into a car gave the movie an entirely new personality. It wasn't just another prop sitting in the background, it became one of the story's main attractions. Every journey to 88 miles per hour became a suspense-filled event, and every burst of blue energy made audiences believe that anything was possible. Today, the DeLorean is every bit as iconic as Marty McFly or Doc Brown. It's hard to picture the franchise without it, proving that sometimes a single creative decision can completely redefine a film. But the DeLorean wasn't the only thing that nearly changed forever. Long before audiences packed theaters, Back to the Future struggled just to get made. Today it's considered one of Hollywood's greatest adventure films, yet studio executives initially saw it as a risky gamble rather than a guaranteed success. Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale believed they had created something original, a story that blended comedy, science fiction, teenage drama, and heartfelt emotion. Unfortunately, many executives didn't share their enthusiasm. Studio after studio rejected the screenplay. Some felt the time travel concept was simply too unusual. Others argued that the story mixed too many genres, making it difficult to market. A few believed audiences wouldn't understand the complicated plot, while others worried that the special effects would be too expensive for the time. With every rejection, the project came closer to disappearing altogether. Fortunately, a few influential people never stopped believing in it. Among the biggest supporters was Steven Spielberg, whose confidence in the script helped convince Universal Pictures to reconsider. His backing gave the project the credibility it desperately needed, allowing production to finally move forward. Looking back today, it's amazing to think how close Back to the Future came to never reaching the big screen. If just a few conversations had gone differently, one of cinema's most beloved trilogies might never have existed. Even after receiving approval, however, another major obstacle threatened the film. The biggest casting challenge centered around Marty McFly. From the very beginning, Robert Zemeckis wanted Michael J. Fox for the role. Fox had already become a television sensation thanks to Family Ties, and the filmmakers believed his natural charm and quick wit perfectly matched Marty. There was only one problem. Fox's television schedule made him completely unavailable. Unable to wait indefinitely, production moved ahead with another talented young actor, Eric Stoltz. Cameras rolled, sets were built, and weeks of filming were completed with Stoltz portraying Marty McFly. On paper, everything seemed fine. In reality, something wasn't working. Eric Stoltz approached the role with tremendous dedication, treating Marty as a dramatic character rather than the light-hearted teenager the filmmakers had envisioned. While his performance was respected, the overall tone of the movie became much more serious than intended. As filming continued, Robert Zemeckis faced one of the most difficult decisions of his career. He chose to replace the lead actor. It was an incredibly expensive and risky move. Entire scenes had to be res-hot, schedules were disrupted, and many wondered whether such a dramatic change could save the production or destroy it completely. Then an opportunity appeared. Changes to the Family Ties production schedule finally made Michael J. Fox available. Fox accepted immediately, even though it meant living one of the most exhausting work schedules imaginable. During the day, he filmed episodes of Family Ties. At night, he rushed across Los Angeles to shoot Back to the Future. For months, he survived on only a few hours of sleep each night, constantly traveling between two demanding productions. Most actors would have struggled under that kind of pressure. Instead, Fox delivered the performance that would define his career. His effortless humor, natural charisma, and relatable personality instantly transformed the atmosphere on set. Suddenly, Marty McFly felt exactly as the filmmakers had imagined from the beginning. A teenager caught in an unbelievable adventure while reacting with genuine surprise, humor, and heart. Ironically, Fox never viewed Eric Stoltz as a rival. Over the years, he has repeatedly spoken with respect about Stoltz, acknowledging his talent and recognizing how difficult the entire situation must have been. Rather than creating bitterness, the unusual casting story eventually became another fascinating chapter in Hollywood history. Fox's incredible dedication paid off. When Back to the Future finally premiered, audiences immediately connected with Marty McFly's energy and optimism. His chemistry with Christopher Lloyd helped create one of the greatest partnerships in movie history, turning a risky production into an international phenomenon. But while Fox was winning over audiences, not everyone welcomed him with open arms behind the scenes. One of the movie's biggest stars initially had serious doubts about working alongside him, and that unexpected tension would become another surprising story that many fans never discovered. As Michael J. Fox settled into the role of Marty McFly, audiences would eventually see effortless chemistry between him and the rest of the cast. But behind the cameras, one important relationship didn't begin so smoothly. Lea Thompson, who played Marty's mother Lorraine, had already spent weeks filming alongside Eric Stoltz before Fox replaced him. During that time, she'd become friends with Stoltz and admired the serious approach he brought to the role. Naturally, when the filmmakers decided to replace him, the change wasn't easy for everyone to accept. Thompson has admitted over the years that she wasn't immediately convinced Fox was the right choice. At the time, he was known primarily as a television star because of Family Ties, while she considered herself part of the film world. Hollywood in the early 1980s often viewed television and movie actors very differently, and those assumptions influenced her first impression. Adding to the pressure, the production suddenly had to reshoot weeks of completed scenes. Everyone was working under tight deadlines, and Fox himself was barely sleeping as he balanced filming both his television series and the movie. Despite the exhausting schedule, Fox arrived with an energy that slowly transformed the atmosphere on set. His quick humor, relaxed personality, and remarkable comedic timing brought a lighter tone to every scene. As filming continued, Thompson began to realize that his version of Marty perfectly matched the adventurous spirit the story needed. Their scenes together, especially the unforgettable moments where Lorraine unknowingly falls for her own future son, became some of the funniest and most memorable sequences in the entire film. What initially felt awkward behind the scenes eventually developed into genuine respect and friendship. Years later, Thompson openly acknowledged that her early judgment had been unfair. She praised Fox's professionalism, work ethic, and kindness, admitting that her first impression had been shaped more by Hollywood stereotypes than by reality. Another surprising story involved Christopher Lloyd, the man who would forever become known as Doc Brown. Today, it's impossible to picture anyone else with the wild white hair, frantic expressions, and unforgettable cries of excitement. Yet Lloyd almost walked away from the project before production even began. When the script first landed on his desk, he wasn't immediately impressed. Already respected for his work in television and film, Lloyd wasn't actively searching for another major role. According to stories shared over the years, he briefly read the screenplay, questioned whether it suited him, and set it aside. For a moment, one of cinema's greatest performances nearly disappeared before it even existed. Fortunately, Lloyd decided to give the script another chance. As he looked more closely, he recognized that Back to the Future wasn't just another science fiction comedy. Beneath the time travel adventure was a story filled with heart, friendship, humor, and unforgettable characters. Director Robert Zemeckis' enthusiasm also helped convince him. Lloyd sensed that everyone involved believed they were creating something special, and he wanted to be part of that vision. The decision changed his career forever. Once cameras started rolling, Lloyd completely embraced the eccentric scientist. He created a version of Doc Brown that balanced brilliant intelligence with childlike excitement, making the character both hilarious and surprisingly emotional. His chemistry with Michael J. Fox became the emotional center of the trilogy. Whether they were escaping terrorists, racing toward the clock tower, or experimenting with impossible inventions, the pair felt like lifelong friends whose bond audiences instantly believed. Another little-known casting story involved Marty's girlfriend, Jennifer Parker. Most fans remember Claudia Wells in the role, but she wasn't originally cast as Jennifer. That honor initially belonged to Melora Hardin. When Eric Stoltz was still playing Marty, Hardin filmed scenes opposite him, and production appeared to be moving normally. However, once Michael J. Fox replaced Stoltz, unexpected changes followed. One issue had nothing to do with acting ability. Hardin stood noticeably taller than Fox, and filmmakers worried that the height difference would become distracting on screen during the couple's romantic scenes. As a result, Claudia Wells was brought in to play Jennifer instead. Although losing such a major opportunity could have devastated any young actress, Hardin refused to let the disappointment define her career. She continued working steadily in television and film before eventually becoming famous for playing Jan Levinson in The Office, introducing herself to an entirely new generation of viewers. Her story remains a reminder that one missed opportunity doesn't determine an entire career. For decades after the film first premiered, the legacy of Back to the Future remains stronger than ever. In 2025, the principal cast reunited to celebrate the film's 40th anniversary, bringing together Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, Lea Thompson, Thomas F. Wilson, and others for an event that thrilled longtime fans. The reunion wasn't simply a nostalgic celebration. It was a chance for the actors to reflect on the extraordinary journey that transformed a risky screenplay into one of the most beloved movies ever made. Fox shared memories of his demanding filming schedule and the excitement of bringing Marty McFly to life. Christopher Lloyd spoke warmly about Doc Brown's lasting popularity, while Lea Thompson reflected on how the movie shaped her career and created lifelong friendships. Thomas F. Wilson entertained fans with stories about playing the unforgettable bully, Biff Tannen, proving that audiences still loved the character they enjoyed hating. Even decades later, the cast's affection for one another remained obvious. Their laughter, shared memories, and appreciation for the fans highlighted why the film continues to connect with new generations. What makes Back to the Future so timeless isn't simply the special effects or the DeLorean. It's the combination of memorable characters, heartfelt storytelling, humor, and optimism. The movie reminds us that our choices shape the future and that ordinary people can accomplish extraordinary things when they're willing to take a chance. Looking back now, it's remarkable how many obstacles stood in the film's path. The time machine was almost a refrigerator. The script was rejected by multiple studios. The lead actor was replaced after weeks of filming. Christopher Lloyd nearly declined the role, and several casting decisions changed before the cameras stopped rolling. Yet every setback ultimately helped create something even better. Sometimes the greatest movie magic happens behind the scenes, long before audiences ever buy a ticket. In the case of Back to the Future, those hidden stories are just as fascinating as the adventure on screen. And perhaps that's why, more than 40 years later, fans still can't get enough of this unforgettable classic.